So if you could sit down with your 16-year-old self,
Oh man.
what would be some of the jewels that you would share with yourself at 16?
Man, so much happened at 16. Remember, from 9 to 16, I was in foster care. And as y'all, some of y'all know, and I think I might have told y'all in my last bill that I think Inf Mega did not even questionable, Inf Mega did a bill with me years ago when I was at law school a few years back now, where I talked about a lot of us have gone through trauma and we need help. I was traumatized as a kid. And I don't mind telling you, I was molested as a kid. You know what I mean? Unfortunate to say. Nothing tangible where, but enough that it wasn't right. And my mother and father was not there to help me. I was physically abused and beaten by the foster care parents. I kept switching from house to house to house. And at 16 is when, at that time, according to the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, which was an organization that I was involved in based upon what happened to me and my stepfather, who beat me naked with a stick. And they took me out of the house and put me in the foster care system. And then at 16, you was considered to be an adult. Now, at 16, according to our lessons, that's the age you are able to marry, right? 16, for all you high scientists out there. So at 16, what would I tell myself of what I've endured? That's a really good question, God. And thank you for asking that question, because I have to think about it right now. I'm 59 now. A long time I've been on this planet. Some will say they ain't that long. You're still young. Because 5 and 9 is only 14, God. You're only 14 years old. But at 16, I think I would tell myself, because I had knowledge then. I didn't know exactly everything about it, but I had the knowledge. Remember, I got knowledge at 15, so I was 1 year in. I would say to myself, what happened to me as a little kid, remember I was 9 when all this shit happened. I was a little boy, that it wasn't my fault. Because I blamed myself thinking that something was wrong with me. My stepfather truly hated me because I guess I looked like the man that brought me into the world. And every time he saw me, he saw him. And he took it out on me. Unfortunate to say, but that's exactly what happened. That's been some of my issues that I've had growing up. Being brutalized and being physically beaten and not know why, and that eroded my trust. I think the other thing I would have to say to myself that it wasn't my fault, but that I was old. I would probably tell myself that I should have loved myself even more, because I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know what family was, because I didn't have that. I didn't know how to think about when I got older. Because when you're young, you're not thinking when you get older, you're thinking for that moment. So what I would tell myself at 16 was that, and I want to make sure I say this right. I would say to myself that all of us have a chance for redemption. All of us have an opportunity to make ourselves better when we put our minds to it. And what I was telling myself at 16 is not rush into anything that I'm not familiar with. Don't rush into anything. Now at 16, when I came out of the foster care system, I went back home to Queens. At the time, my stepfather at the time was still living, and me and him never got along after all of that, of course, and how could we? So it was a lot of tension between me and him, especially now that I'm older, the things he did to my mother, the things he did to my sibling, which was actually his children, but they were still my brothers and sisters. I didn't like it, and I confronted him on it maybe twice, and I felt that I was gonna do something to him, like do something to him, like take all my pain and suffering out on him. And what I decided to do after reading about what Allah did, in the sense of the military, I decided to enlist in the military to get out of there. Not to run away, but to start my life over as a man, and that's where a lot of the manhood shit I learned, other than what I learned in Queens and in Brooklyn and things I had to endure, I learned how to be a man as a soldier in the United States Army. And that was a decision that I don't regret making. And I think at 16 is that I would have listened to my mother a little bit more. Although I didn't have a true relationship with my mother, I would have listened to her more, because although she went through a hell of a lot too that I didn't know until later on, that had I listened to her, some of the pain that I went through, I wouldn't have gone through, even though she caused some of it. All right, because she was the first one to tell me, the woman that put me in jail, she told me to leave that woman alone. A lot of Belizean women, especially from the old era, they believe in spirit. If the feeling is not right, they're gonna let you know. My mother told me a long time ago, I should have never got with this woman. She knew something I didn't know, and I had to find out the hard way. So I would probably listen to my mother more at 16 if I had to tell myself something more, listen to her, because there was no father figure to listen to. The father figures I had was Supreme Mind, Allah Real, and many other older gods of the desert that I dealt with back then. And those were kind of like the people that were telling me, well, you should do this and you should do that. And I was on my hustle too. I sold my little things too to try to get money and try to survive. And I did a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have did to try to eat. But that's what I had to do at the time. And when you're in that type of situation, and I'm not the only man or the only brother that's gone through these types of hardships, I'm quite sure there's tons of us out there who's been through. We just don't talk about it because, you know, it makes us look like we weak or we soft. No, it's just that we went through something and we came out. And I'm a success story for those who acknowledge it or not, because I could have went a whole nother route with everything I've endured. But, you know, Allah willing, and by the will of my own mind, I was able to rise above all that, you know? Yeah.